statesman. And I know from someone who is not a statesman that this guy really is he is the new face of an auto executive, which is that your car becomes an exciting place to be. Remember when Howard Schultz used to call Starbucks, which, by the way, suck in the airports? He used to say, you know what, Starbucks is the third place? Your car is your third place. I love sitting in a Tesla. And my daughter loves the flatulent seat. She kept sitting on it, pressing the button. I mean, I know it's a little odd, but the Tesla is the place. It's the third place to be. People love to be in it. And they've got autonomous driving. Oh, my, it's so exciting. On Beyond Meat, that is an ecosystem. You know what people are talking about Beyond Meat? They're talking about India. India. There's an untapped market for them. That's right, because they're vegetarian.
Well, yeah, they don't eat cows.
Sacred.
The
cows
Well,
are
they
sacred.
hate
That's
cows.
absolutely right.
I mean, they're sacred cows. I mean, I don't mean they hate them. I mean, they love them. You know what I mean?
They love
Remember,
them.
cows produce the most methane. Cows are really, I tell you, I know that they're natural, but boy, they are methane producers. Hard to justify.
There's a lot of methane coming at us from all sorts of ways. I mean, the flaring that's going on that you've talked about so often is only increasing and is now not even being monitored anymore by the EPA. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Well, look, that flaring is, I mean, it is obscene how much flaring. I had Parsley Energy on last week. They are trying to get it to 5% flare. They told me there's 30%. Some guys are doing 30%. And a lot of people on Twitter told me, you know what, you're allowed to do whatever you want, but it is heavily regulated. Heavily regulated by who? I'm regulating it more than they are. David, I think the president may be pro-flare for all I know.
I believe he may very well be. Any environmental regulations, for the most part, that were perceived to stand in the way of economic growth in some fashion have been or are planned to be eliminated, Carl.
Even as the latest,
or rolled back is a better way to put it.
As recently as last week, where the president said in some cases it takes a decade to build a road.
That was about infrastructure, but a law that's been in place for, 40 or 50 years. Obviously, the EPA started under Nixon. But yeah, the rollbacks have been quite significant, Jim. It's unclear exactly how much they've added to economic growth overall. But you mentioned flaring, and certainly that's going on a lot. But it also speaks to the plethora of natural gas in this country, which we've talked so often about. Right. One would expect you could find some places, perhaps, that could use incredibly cheap energy. Maybe you can start all the server farms down near where they're flaring all this gas and run them all on natural gas.
The server farms don't want natural gas, David. The server farms, they want solar. And the guys who do solar are winners, or the guys who they also like hydro. Hey, here's one, Dave. I'm going to throw one at you, okay? How about when the president goes to Davos, which you and I don't go, and I think it's not because of your old hat, David. Everyone remembers that. The reason why, one of the things he could do is throw a bomb, and the bomb would be, Germany, you use our LNG instead of supporting the Russians with Gazprom. Mm-hmm. David, I think they're going to use bomb throws by the president. But there'll be bomb throwing. And one of them is going to be use our LNG. And we have enough of it that we can undercut anything that Gazprom does. Plus, I mean, shouldn't we be pro-U.S. versus pro-Russia? It's going to be a continual theme. I think that the next big stumbling block that the market is going to have to deal with is the idea that the president says, we're sick of Europe. Think of that.
Yeah, well, that's been an issue. Certainly anybody who wants to drink French wine is aware of it.
Indeed. And if it's not that, it's Sanders running #1 in Iowa, as we found out from the Des Moines Register poll on Friday. That's going to get interesting. Let's get to the bond pitch this morning. Check in with Rick Santelli at the CME. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, Carl. Well, it is going to be a big week. We get some big data points and, of course, the signing